Action.
Action. Hi, Ali.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. A little nervous, but very relaxed. Somehow still.
Okay. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Let me present you Ali Léon or Ali Lepage. We were still
I'm still figuring
it out. But Ali, I know you. How do I know you? From a little bit from partying, I think.
Yeah.
I remember, I think the first time I saw you was after the one, like there was only one, I think, like a Black Lives Matters, like the big protest during the COVID lockdowns.
At Place Poulart.
Yes.
20,000 people actually. That was a lot.
That was like, that left a big impression on me, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was, moved. I was a bit disappointed that there were not more that followed after that, but well, I'm sure there are more protests, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But, like the scale of this and it was a good vibe there. But I remember that after that protest, I think we hung out at the same park or something, and then there was this thing also with Carlos.
Yes, at the Fuse Open Air in Tour and Taxi.
Also during the lockdowns, and that's a funny story, actually, I think.
Yes, that was the start of everything, actually.
Yeah.
It's true. That is when you that was a big shift in my career, actually.
Well, I remember I was going to go to the Fuse Open Air with Carlos, a good friend of mine, and who also wants to, like, he's very interested in video and photography and stuff. And then you gave me a call, I think,
yes,
saying that you pitched to this project, video reportage of the underground, or like behind the scenes a bit. I don't know. What was it?
It was it was something about because remember back then with COVID we couldn't really travel, so it's all about staycation.
Right.
And so I remember I had pitched this idea of doing some kind of a series about what there is actually still to do in Brussels at that time, that summer. And I pitched that to Bruzz, actually the Flemish Brussels media company. They do radio, magazine, and also TV.
True.
And they loved the idea. And they offered me to go do a test. And I did.
You called me.
I called you.
And I was like, hey, let's just do this all together.
Yes.
And then we totally bluffed ourselves into the every backstage and having interviews with all the artists.
True, Bruzz is here.
Yeah, that was so good. You were like, your confidence was like...
I was nervous.
Top notch. Yeah,
I was nervous. Thank God you were there. Because I had big time like imposter syndrome, which was pretty valid since I pretty much was an imposter back then. Didn't know what I was doing at all, but I learned a lot. And yes, that was a big, that was a defining moment for me.
I was impressed with how you took that in hands and we actually did something and we did it, and I think it got you further too. It was like a pilot of something like.
Well, it got me a job.
Yeah, right.
Became a video journalist.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you can explain a little bit who you are and what you do, like how can we know you? Like I know you, but and I know you do lots of amazing stuff with you've worked for Bruzz, you've worked for Vice, you've worked for Fuse, C12, Paradise City. Do I need to say more impressive things, you know? Like,
the list is pretty long, but then it would start sounding obnoxious.
And you're still, but you're still so young too. So it's like
I'm a year away from 30.
Well, okay,
But
still
pretty young.
Exactly,
pretty young,
I'm gonna repeat. Still very young.
Yes,
so you had like, I don't know. I'm seeing you go places. So, but like for now, where is like who is Ali Lepage, Léon?
So,
who's Ali?
Who is Ali? Ali is this young woman who lives in Brussels, but who spent her teenage years in Provence, Luxembourg, which is the southwest point of Belgium that there is. Little town with the kind of parents that were not really letting her out much. And so I basically grew up on YouTube, just watching a bunch of videos, whether that was the Vice documentaries or makeup videos or a lot of music videos as well. And, dreaming my time away of another life until I was old enough to move to the big city of Brussels again, because back there it looks like a huge city.
Yeah, well, it's the biggest. It's the most proper city, I think, in Belgium. Antwerp and every other city in Belgium.
Like big
Brussels is it's capital of Europe. So I guess
exactly. And so when I was 18, I wasn't yet believing I could do any of this. So I did business management, and then I did translation because I happen to be pretty good at languages. And then at some point, how did it all start? Oh yeah. It started with me failing all of my German classes and having to resit my year, not being allowed on Erasmus. And so I had decided that if I stayed another year in Brussels just doing German, I would be depressed. So I decided to go to Berlin. Take some German classes. Obviously, I only went to 30% of them, and I spent the rest of my time partying.
When in Berlin.
Exactly. And I remember one glorious morning coming home at sunrise, making that decision that what I wanted to do was work in events and organize parties and create times and spaces with awesome music and awesome people and great locations to have a good time. That was going to be my life mission. I had already dreamt about it a lot when I was a teenager, but I had never really witnessed it firsthand. So Berlin really was a huge shift in perspective for me. So went home, aced all my German classes.
Did you work in Berlin too, or I
gave some French and English classes to some girl, but
not in the clubs scene.
No, I was really just discovering the music. I didn't even know anything about electronic music before I was 22, something like that. I was really way more into pop, hip hop, R&B, soul, and funk music way before that. Came back and managed to get on my Erasmus. And there, actually, it was a pretty big university. It's the University of Warwick, if I'm pronouncing this right.
Fancy.
Pretty fancy. And that's where I learned the value of work, because I used to slag a little bit. I was a bit lazy, a bit caught up with boys, and
it's like being a teenager too.
Exactly, I was still a teenager, and then got back, and I somehow got to know this artistic director / DJ / scenographer who was working on a bunch of projects, too many. He was actually this guy from Paris living in Brussels. And through him, I worked on this. The first big project, or pretty big project I worked on, is called Loop Sessions, which is a beat making event that started off in Montreal, and then got picked up in different cities, London, Paris, several cities in Brazil as well, Vancouver. And when I arrived in this little world, they had just started off in Brussels as well. And those were taking place in Sidus. And that was the very beginning of Sidus. I think that opened since 3 months, 4 months max. And there was this girl, Sophia. Like, I will forever call her my fairy. She had this brilliant idea of asking one of the founders of C12, of C12, if they needed an intern. And they were like, oh, well, who? And she said, me. And they were like, oh, yeah, she's hardworking. She does her best. Yeah, sure, send your CV. And a week later, I had a meeting with a different founder. I didn't really understand what was happening. I was like, that's not the guy I spoke to. And this one happened to be the artistic director, Tom Bru. And he said, I want you on the artist care team. And that's how it all started. How old was I? 20... Was I 23? I think I was 23. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't know anything about this world. I even asked them, like, hey guys, I just discovered techno. Like, I know nothing about it. Like, don't you mind? And they're like, no, we just really need someone who's very good with people. And you're good at this. We know it.
Yeah.
And over time, took more and more responsibility. Basically became the right hand of the artistic director / booker on the booking side of things. And yeah, it was a hell of a ride. Like, my whole world shifted. Started discovering a lot of new things, met a lot of huge people. In the beginning, I actually never looked up anyone beforehand, just because I wanted to stay, how should I put it, unbiased and not have any expectations about who I was hosting. Like, I wanted to keep on treating everyone like a normal human being.
It shouldn't make a difference in the end, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. And I remember I did it once, looked someone up beforehand, and it really got me nervous.
Oh, yeah?
I think it was Ben Clark or something. Okay. I was like 900,000 followers on Facebook. Like, my brain was like, oh. First time, last time. And yeah, I did that for a long time. Then eventually, obviously, seeing the same four walls every weekend, every week of the year, I was kind of like, I need something else. Plus, there was a lot of pressure as well, because I went from nobody to somebody overnight.
Yeah, very young.
You know?
Like 23.
And, exactly. Like, I was surrounded by all these club kids who literally grew up in clubs in Brussels and knew everything about everything, and they were super cool, and I was kind of shy and very intimidated as well by all these big personalities. And I think I also had to, like, grow mine up a little bit just to make a fighting chance at not being like how should I put it, bulldozed by everyone. And yeah, then after this, things went very quickly. I just happened to get to know a girl who eventually became editor-in-chief at Vice. And I was looking for another internship for school as well, because in the meantime, I had started studying corporate communication and marketing for my master's, because I did feel like this can be it. Like, I do need something to rely on for if in 10 years I'm going to be too old or too tired of doing this. So I need an internship, and I didn't really like marketing, but it was the closest thing that I could directly do after having done my bachelor in translation. And one day I asked her, hey, do you know anyone who's looking for an intern? She said, yes, I do. And so I applied, and they took me, and I did that. And then COVID hit, and so my whole sector was completely closed off. Actually, everything closed off a month after I became a freelancer, because I had a...
Right, I remember that.
Yeah. I had just signed the papers to become a freelancer. I was like, I'm going to do this. I had met a lot of people. I was going to go to Portugal and New York and everything shut down. And so I was like, okay, well, if I do nothing, I'm going to be depressed. So what am I doing? And I figured, well, I have this little experience in journalism. Even when I was younger, I did write a little bit here and there, just, like writing my feelings out, or I did pretty well in school as well, like writing text. And so I continued doing that. Obviously, I wasn't the best. I really had still a lot to learn. I'm glad that my editor-in-chief back in the days, she really encouraged me to continue writing, but also for other media outlets, just to have different experiences, have different points of views. And that's how, at some point when I pitched her the idea to do this series about a staycation, what is there to do in Brussels during COVID, and she said no. I remember what she had told me before, and so I went to Bruzz.
Yeah.
And they liked it.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
So...
That's one of the nicest things too, I think, if you can come up with a concept and just sell that for like somebody or another company that sees value in it.
Yeah.
And, like, it's,
sometimes when you knock at one door and the answer is no, you just knocked at the wrong door and just try the next one. Really, sometimes it's that simple. And so yeah, then we had this whole tryout together with Carlos, and you really helped me. And I remember you even taught me how to edit on that was Premiere Rush.
Maybe we should do so we did end up making a pilot episode for an online reportage about
the Fuse Open Air, and we had a quick interview of the artist, and who else did we interview? So long ago.
Yeah, I remember. Ben Nidrev.
Yeah, Ben Nidrev and
one of them became my buddies also for.
Was it Chris Ferreira?
Yes, Chris Ferreira. I was telling you I'm always bad with him.
Amazing
too,
DJ.
But Chris, I'm like I hung out with him a bunch of times after. That was.
I remember that.
That was really cool.
And also some visitors as well, and so yeah. Then after that, they gave me a shot, and so I remember first day. My new editor-in-chief. His name was Rowan, this guy from Antwerp. And he was not feeling me.
No.
He was the incarnation of your nemesis being your greatest teacher. I really had to suck it up and prove myself. And it was good because he did teach me a lot. And I remember my first mission for them was going to the park near Tervuren about some neighbors complaining that a tree got cut off. That was my story of the day.
Yeah.
That was my story of the day. And so I had to take the how do you call it in English? Entrepied? Statif?
Statif, yeah.
Yeah, with the camera and the bike, for 40 minutes,
Tripod.
all the way there. The tripod, there you go. I was on the bike for 40 minutes with all this heavy gear, and I was like, I hate this.
You had to do this all by yourself?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Oh, yeah. They just threw me right in there.
But that's what I'm saying. When you have a vision of doing this thing where you're comfortable being around the people and and then you have to do some story about a tree that's gonna be cut off, and then everybody's upset. Well, of course it's still valuable, but it's kind of a clash, I guess.
It was COVID. There was literally nothing to speak about. So, but anyways,
there was no nightlife.
Exactly, but it was okay because it was a humbling experience, and it did motivate me to come up with better stories to tell. And I was lucky indeed that I knew enough people from back in the days that I did come up with some cool stuff, and they did give me a chance. They did always trust me in the stories I brought. They taught me how to script a story, how to direct, how to film, how to edit, how to kill my darling. That was one of the greatest lessons as well. Like when you create something, you have to be able to look at it objectively and just kill it, just break it down, and go to the essential. And
it's usually better.
It's a very intense and visceral experience, but it was good.
It's a real world experience too, and that's,
exactly
like more valuable even, I think, than if you would have went to school and did a course in like video production or something. Like the experience that you had there, or in journalism, I think I think you can learn a lot in those places. But then, from my experience coming out of both film school and photography school, it's like you come out and then you have to start learning, because then there's a real world, you know, like there's no teachers that you can like kind of figure them out too after a while, you know, like, you know, this one likes this and this one likes this, and this is how I have to get it done, you know, like this is how I have to get a passing grade in the end also, you know, like it's kind of like it's all assignments, but then in the real world you have to
you're getting paid for it.
Find a place and you have to make
serious.
something that's valuable to like other people, other businesses. So,
and also, you know, like these things in the real world, it actually gets online.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for jokes anymore, and it's also not for free. It's not for a grade. So it's I had to fight off imposter syndrome a lot. I did a lot of extra hours at home. You know, like, how do I do this? What is this called? Like, I spent so many hours on YouTube. So many hours. Just like learning, like continuously learning extra stuff that I didn't learn in school since I studied something else. But I did have to know, since apparently this is my job now.
Yeah.
And so, then what was also funny thing about life is that after 6 months working with Bruzz, I did get a little tired of it, because it was COVID. That was the only thing we were talking about all the time, and it was really like taking a toll on my mental health, and I was so ready to leave. And one day I got a call from my editor-in-chief at Vice again, and she had seen some of the videos I shared, and she said, "Hey, do you want to edit this video for us?" The first video I did for them was Diverse Ideas. It was about Muslim feminist women. That was incredible. That was really, really nice. I also
sounds like a really interesting.
It's super interesting topic.
Subject.
Again, kind of knew what I was doing. Kind of had to spend a lot of hours on YouTube figuring out some new stuff.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of hours in the office until 4 a.m. like ordering Uber Eats, not leaving until it was done.
Then you were editing video or like stuff that someone else photographed. You were the editor of the video.
Exactly.
Okay. Nice.
Yes. Very nice. After having learned how to do any of this like 6 months ago.
You know, like I like even sometimes me when like I really like to edit my own stuff, but like I never really see myself as an editor, you know. Like it's like I wouldn't go look for just editing jobs, which because also like I don't know, it's different, but like that you can do that, like that you did this is awesome. I think.
Yeah, and it was really nice, and it was a really good video, and it worked really well. Obviously, my coworker like helped me out a lot as well, and like he did the finishing touches. But it was truly inspiring, and it was really a changing moment for me, in a sense of, how should I put it? Like, this little girl who grew up in the middle of nowhere is still there in me. I still remember being her. I still remember.
How was that in that small town? Because I can kind of see paint a little vague. Like I know there's not a lot happening.
There's nothing happening. There's maybe one. How do they call them? Un bal, like a ball.
Yeah.
Once every
like
2 months or so.
So.
Yes, it's like it would be like the kids who were like in last year of high school who would organize a party to make some money to go on their end of studies trip, if you want.
Yeah.
That was basically the only thing.
Like the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, but
party or something.
Exactly, something equivalent to that.
Yeah.
Also didn't have that many friends, like, because I arrived there, I was 9. Because I was born in Brussels, my parents moved to Luxembourg for work. So I arrived there, I was 9. I didn't speak French yet. I was still speaking Dutch only. It took up to... How long did it take me to actually make friends? I think I was like 14 or something. And my friends were actually 2 years older than me. So after 2 years, they left for university. So last 2 years, I had one friend, but that was really it. Like, I was bit of a weirdo, bit of an outcast. I was quite bullied for the first couple of years of high school. Like, pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It got me I was already very insecure, like, since day one.
Yeah.
I had acne. People were making fun of me. I was the only black kid in the whole school. You know, my brother was the only other one, but he was like 4 years younger than me. He was also getting a lot of shit. And so, yeah, like, going from this girl no one wants to hang out with, that everyone makes fun of, that's super insecure, that actually, like, never really felt seen or loved or whatever. Going from that girl to, what? Not even 10 years later, being the video editor of Vice Belgium.
I swear I think you're one of the most popular people that I that I know in my friend group, you know? Like, you go to a party with you and there's always someone you know, or you know the bouncer, or you know the person checking the tickets. It's like VIP service when you're going out, you know? Like, it is a big contrast, yeah.
It is a huge contrast.
That's so, like, shit to hear, you know? Like,
yeah, and it's funny because, like, obviously nobody knows that about me because nobody grew up there with me. Like, everybody got to know me in my 20s. And but yeah, I think it's also good that this girl is still there in me, because I feel like it keeps my feet on the ground and my head on my shoulders. Because yes, now I go out. Sometimes I do get, like, not bothered, but when someone comes up to you and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," or "Oh my God, your job is so cool," and I always have, like, this slight distance to it, because I still remember what it was like when I was getting the opposite, you know, and even though I know that people mean super well, most people mean very well, I still see it as something, like, slightly superficial, and I don't really attach it to who I am.
Like beauty, you mean? Or,
like beauty or status or accomplishment. Like, it still feels very external to me.
Yeah.
It's not, how should I put it? It feeds my faith in life, but I try to make sure it doesn't feed my ego. You know? Yeah. And the reason I wish that people knew that part of my past, that part of me, is because over time now, the one thing I have a hard time to cope with is is the opposite of being bullied, is being envied, which is something that I never expected, first of all, because like I said, like I don't see myself as this Ali or Alyssa that everyone looks at. You know, like I have a full vision of me since day one. But where is that going?
Well, yeah, you're just doing like you know. Like,
yeah.
You're not.
I'm just trying, you know, like how should I put it? I try to seize the day and seize every opportunity that's been given to me. I do my best. I try to be a good person. I think that's why, you know, like when you say like you always know someone, this and that, is because I've always made it a point of being kind and nice.
You have good vibes, yeah. Like it's no surprise that somebody gave you a job instantly to take care of like these precious sensitive artists in the in the DJ world, you know, like, and you're a good people's person, like it stays with people. So, but I also always admire that you like, yeah, you have a vision and you want to get somewhere, you know, like you don't want to just stay where you are. And I really admire that too, like the whole like, yeah, I try to do the same thing, you know, like stuff comes on your path and then maybe it's not exactly what you want to do, like a marketing studies or a job at Bruzz maybe that has stories that are a bit further from you, but in the end, like there's always opportunities coming from these, like
exactly
one step, another step, and then 3 steps down the road, you know, like 50 more people that actually have like their own projects going on or like their own dreams and like
yeah, exactly. I feel like every experience, like first of all, brings you experience, brings you something to learn, brings you people to meet, perspectives to hear, and also so while I was studying, before I got on my Erasmus, I was working as a receptionist in this headhunters company. Like in the evening, it was really not much to do, just opening doors and like distributing the mail. There was nothing to do. So I spent a lot of hours watching TED Talks. A lot of them. Like I'm talking about hundreds of hours. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because this conversation is reminding 2 very valuable things I've learned that I've always applied, which was the first one is every detour will end up being useful towards your end destination. Like there's no such thing as a detour. You might go where you want to go, not as fast as you want to go there, but you will probably arrive there with a lot more knowledge and skills than if you had gotten everything you wanted straight away. Yeah. So that's where something.
And maybe you didn't even want to go there, and like in the first place, you know, like sometimes you like a lot of the times I think you discover new directions. I think
I never dreamed of it. I never even dared to really think that any of this was possible. You know, I just showed up, and then I was like, well, okay, I'll do that. That and also every opportunity is the right person who knows that you can do the right thing. That's really how simple it is. It's the right person, someone who's in charge of something, or who knows someone who knows someone that sees what you can do for something or for someone or for a project, and who will be like, ah.
I think also expressing is an important one in there, like expressing what you want, who you are, what you want to do. You know, like
that's
you want to start a podcast, like
that's
start
something I've been learning.
Like
that's
start telling people that you're like
you're
gonna do this, and then like
definitely.
And then
go for
if
it,
the right people, if the right people hear it, Like, could you land you somewhere unexpected?
Exactly.
So this the connection with journalism, that's like almost accidental, or does it come from your YouTube binging in
I would say Luxembourg? That so I do have like dreams from when I was a teenager. One of which is writing a book, and I felt like journalism was already one step closer to that. Especially for a company that I had binge watched documentaries about, I felt like it just made sense. I mean, also as a trained translator, when you study translation, you also study writing. You learn how to write stuff because obviously.
Well, yeah, I guess that translation is also always an interpretation on.
Yeah, you never.
You can't one-on-one.
It's never literal.
No.
You always have to you have to appropriate the text, make it your own, and write it as if it had been written in its like the language in which you are writing it has been written in this language originally. So you learn how to be a writer. It's a skill, like maybe it's not as super creative or less creative than being the original author of a piece of work, but it definitely allows you to do that. So yeah, I've done that. I think I've done journalism properly for 2 years.
But it was like a dream that you had as a little girl, or did it like...
Writing was a dream as a girl.
Writing was a dream.
I didn't necessarily think it would be journalism, but also I feel like I've also always tried to keep an open mind towards the opportunities that are given to me, and always try to look more at what am I going to learn from this rather than what is it going to make of me, if I can put it this way. For me, it's just very important to be able to acquire skills, like I feel like that's what my 20s were really about, is trying different things, getting to know different people, getting to know myself, acquiring different skills, and figuring out a way to put all of these interests that I have together to be able to become the right person for something else, something bigger coming up one day, who knows? But also without sticking too hard to this one idea in my head, I've already always felt super blessed of the opportunities that were given to me, even though some of them I had never dreamt of. Like I never saw myself. I didn't know that being an artist manager or liaison or host for DJs in a club was a thing. I didn't know that was a job. That's a job. It's not a job, man. It is a job, but it's
a job you're good at too.
Yeah. I'm it's definitely taken me places, especially after everything with COVID stopped and we could just do festivals again properly like we used to. It really took off for me. Like all this artist care took off on another level, where before I was really attached to one specific place. Now I'm freelancing for all of my favorite festivals.
You have a variation in your
exactly
work environment.
I think I do more than 10 a year. I have a lot of artists that I see several times a year that actually, a lot of them actually start telling me like, you're everywhere. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so are you. So that's actually really nice because the festival scene in Brussels is quite developed. And at the same time, you also bump into a lot of the same people systematically on different projects, which really allows it to give you this feeling of true friendship, like beyond it being like people you meet at a festival, people you work with, or
but the
whatever.
work, the people who work there, yeah, it's like it's a small world, right? Like it's
exactly.
It's like a lot of the same. Like not so many people involved in the top, and definitely in like high level kind of Paradise City fuse. You know, like.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, because these are bigger organizations. There's not that much room for error. So obviously they want to work with people with experience or people that have been referenced to them by other people who have experience, people that they trust. It's because it's a lot about trust. Like the most important thing in the event sector is trust and being trustworthy.
Yeah.
Like showing up on time.
Photography business, video, film business, same thing, like it's it takes you some time to build that trust to show that you're not just like you just decided to be a photographer, like portfolio and stuff, but yeah, it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
And could you say now, do you have role models or like people that you look up to or that you could say that are an example in like the stuff that you do, but like
Yeah, I would say I have quite a few. When it comes to journalism in writing, I have huge admiration for my friend Bohanna. He is based in Amsterdam. He is a pretty well known journalist and writer. He is originally from Egypt, lived in Stockholm, and actually met him through Vice. He was actually in the Amsterdam office from Vice, and one day he just showed up in the Brussels office, and we just looked at each other and we just knew. It was very funny. At some point, at the end of the day, like he sat next to me working, and then we just went out for drinks, and we just had instant super deep conversations. He's specialized in everything LGBTQ, but also what I admire the most about him is that he's unafraid of tackling difficult subjects and making noise about something that he finds very important, regardless of whatever anyone else around him says. He's very talented. He has a sharp mind, sharp tongue. Like, you do not fight with this guy. Like, you are losing.
You found your match. Yeah.
I found a master. Like, I am impressed by this guy. I know not to mess with him. Really, 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 really. Then also, maybe in video journalism, I have two. One is Johnny Harris. He used to work at Vox, which is a YouTube channel. Now he has his own. He actually started off in geography and world maps, funny enough. And then he built it up to more political subjects and economics. And for me, he's a very great example of how precise, impartial and thorough independent journalism can be. It's very relevant as well. Like, he has millions of followers and he's super well respected. And for me, it's proof that you can make it by yourself without necessarily the support of a big media outlet behind you. Like, obviously, it's good to learn your skills in these kinds of companies, definitely. But if you have those skills, you can do it. Also, I would say, Sophie Misari, she's head of films for Resident Advisor. So she does. She works on a lot of their documentaries where they follow artists on tour, or when they film workshops of how artists play.
Yeah. So resident advisor, you just explained to me before the show.
Yes.
I didn't know it, but like
yes.
very specific in electronic music.
It's the most influential platform in electronic music in the world. They've been there for like over 20 years. They have this incredible magazine, incredible YouTube channel. If you need to know anything about an artist or a venue or a promoter or a festival, it will probably be on there.
Okay.
So yeah, I love the way that they film, the angles they take, the narration, like everything is just top notch. And then for events, actually as a stage manager, I wouldn't say I'm a role model. Like,
could be very close again, you know. Like,
I would say I am grateful for one person. Her name is Sophie Franks, because it's through meeting her at Crossroads in 2018 or 19 that I actually discovered that you could actually be a stage manager as a freelancer and just send an invoice, and you're hired by a bunch of different organizations to do that. I didn't know that was possible until I met her.
She's also a stage manager? Or?
Yes. It's funny because like we're on a lot of the same projects. She's more of a main stage kind of girl. She does like the big artist.
You have like labels for each other, yeah.
Yes, I'm definitely the house stage, or like
like a boiler room kind of. You're a boiler room kind of.
I would say I'm way more like I'm deeper in the left field, or like the more underground, or the more. How should I put it? Definitely the very popular DJs, yes, but not necessarily those that
mainstream
are like mainstream. Like, if I am asked to do main stage, my answer is no. I don't want to, because main stage always attracts a lot of entourage, a lot of people who want to be there, be seen, and no shade to anyone, like, live your events experience the way you want to, but it's just not my vibe. Like, I mean, maybe it's because I started off in Berlin or in C12, where there is really all about the music. Right. Like, anything else is really superficial and unnecessary and really just distracting. So I kind of uphold that way of looking at it. So for me, like, even like being on a huge stage where you don't even barely see people's faces, I find it too much.
Yeah, it's a difference.
Like, I like it when I have a smaller stage and I can just like go on the dance floor.
A bit more intimate, maybe. Or
very
like
intimate. You can look at, like, sometimes I'll be on stage serving someone a drink or helping the sound technician like move something around, and I will, lock eyes with someone and we'll have a little moment, and I'll be like, oh, I like your style, or they'll be like, oh, I like your vibe, or we'll be dancing or something, or I'll see someone doing something nice to someone else and I'll be like, hey, take a beer, man. That's nice, like, I feel like that's a nice experience to exchange, even if it is 20 seconds or a minute.
Yeah, it can make a big difference, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, definitely. Also, yeah, I do have a lot of admiration for everyone I've worked with, whether it's Alex from Horst or Zoe from Paradise City, or the girls from Nacho Techno, or Tom, who does a bunch of different things in Ghent. All these people are all extremely humble, extremely hardworking, generous, down to earth, positive minded, relaxed, doing a good job, doing their best. I must say that I do feel very blessed to be allowed the privilege of working so closely with so many incredible people. That's definitely something else. Yes.
Yeah, I have one friend that's I think he's involved in a lot of stuff. But I know Paradise City and like, but he's been doing this for like 15 years, 20 years now too, I think, as long as I've been in photography. And Leonard
I was going to ask.
He's my neighbor. He grew up in the same street. Like I know his dad and stuff. So it's like, but he is the sweetest, one of the sweetest people I know. You know, like such a, I don't know, but it's still a hard worker, a hustler a bit. You know, like, but like, good guy. You know, good vibes.
Yeah.
Like, and I could see that ruling that good scene, like the good scenes. You know, like It's always like, it's not a generalization, of course, but like we said, it's a small world in the end, you know, like you don't have 50 people organizing big events here, like or like actually, that and that or more, or you do.
I think it must be around 50, but I don't think there's like 150.
But like the core people in the end,
definitely,
you know, like who ends up being in management of artists and stuff, you know, like.
Yeah, it's what I really like about it. It has a very, especially in Belgium, like I like the culture. People really value kindness and doing your best, and you know, not stressing out about stuff, not blaming other people. We're all here in this together, and if there's an issue, we're here to find a solution.
That's nice.
And also just this ability to believe in it, you know, like you have an idea and you share this idea with other people and we all believe in it and we're all, you know, gonna come together and play our part.
Make it work.
And make it work, you know, because there are huge risks coming with organizing a festival. There are huge responsibilities, you know.
Lots of money involved.
Lots of money, lots of security. Also, you know, people trust you with their time and they trust you with giving them a nice experience. And obviously, I'm not responsible for the audience, but I'm responsible for the person who's playing music for the audience. And if they're having a shitty time, then the audience is having a shitty time, because an artist who is not in flow or in sync or just in a good vibration, they're not going to be in it. And if they're not in it, how can it pull anyone else in it? It's not happening, you know? So yeah, it's all of this is very subtle and every detail counts. And in the end, for me, I see it as pure magic. And sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I'm tired when it's day 4 and it's this 4th day that you sleep for only 3 hours. And it's your 4th day of standing on your feet for 15 hours. And you always have someone who's like a bit too drunk and who's trying to get in somewhere where they're not supposed to.
I was going to say that. Like, it's also in an environment where there's like, drunk people are like letting go of their stress and it's their time to relax and to breathe, but like then also some people have a hard time like keeping it within.
You have to treat them like children. That's my approach. It's like, it's like I just look at you like a child right now. I'm like, darling, I understand. You just want to have a good time, but it's fine. But look, you can have it over there. Just go over there. You know, it's fine. You know, and I think it's important also to keep this approach. Like, obviously there are times where I couldn't. I'm just too tired. I'm too hungry, or some manager or someone, you know, was really annoying, very negative, and I just did not have the strength to keep up my walls and protect myself, and like I absorbed that moment. And then I need some time to like let it go. Let it go. Come back to love, you know? And obviously, yes, if you are not in a good moment, whatever your message is if the person in front of you is not having it, then it just can just escalate, you know, and then you have to escalate.
But it is all about vibrations, I think. You know, I do believe that, like...
Definitely, like I joke around a lot, you know, like I never have problems because I make sure that I'm in the right state of mind and the right energy and the right frequency. And then it's contagious.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
But when a crowd like that, when a DJ or a performer can get that crowd to be all excited at the same time, it's like you can just feel it in the air, you know.
Exactly.
It's like electricity.
And that's what it's really all about, you know, and I feel like that's my favorite part of it.
Okay.
So that's my favorite part of it. And sometimes I'm whining and I'm like, I'm gonna quit, and then I'm I'll do it again. I keep doing it again because I still love it, you know.
Because how is it living? Because this is your job, right? Like this is.
Yeah, it's one of my jobs.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, is this something that you could do? Like that you live from doing just this, or do you have to combine a couple of the things that we said? Or
I think it would be possible to live off of it if I would be willing to also do a lot of stuff I don't want to do, and if I was willing to go travel to places I don't want to travel to, and live a more than humble life. Yes, but I do like a little comfort, so I've always combined it with something else, whether that is working as a casting agent or a PR agent. I've always done lots of different things during the week also.
You've been organizing events too, right?
I've also been organizing my own events.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you like the variation also? Like...
Yes. I think I'm the kind of person who cannot do one task or cannot do the same thing every day. I like the versatility. I like organizing events. I love scouting for a location. I love making a deal with the people I'm gonna work with. I love going to taste for the different drinks we're gonna serve. I love thinking about scenography. Where should we put the lights? Okay, how should we build up this lineup? What's the timetable gonna be? Where do we put the entrance? How are we going to greet people? How are we going to communicate online? What is our tone of voice? What are the pictures we're going to share? What are we not going to share? Like, I'm very, and that's probably has to do with my upbringing, but I've always been very secretive. Like, if someone doesn't ask me what I do, I'm not going to tell them. Or if they do ask me, I would always be a bit vague as well. And that's kind of the same approach I had with my parties, which was like quite secretive. Like the Instagram page is private. If you wanted to participate, you had to like fill in this form, let us know who you heard about us, what kind of person you are. You know,
a bit more exclusive also,
like,
or like
I think it's
not to exclude, but like
I wouldn't call it exclusive, but I would definitely call it private, as in protected. Protective. I would call it protective because it's not because I didn't know you that you were not being let in.
No,
it was more about
safe space also maybe?
Also like it's definitely like keeping the because in a party of 100 people or 150 people, if you have 30 negative people, it's very easy for these people to kill the vibe. You know?
Yeah.
It's not like if you have 30 people drowned into 3,000 loving, joyful people, you know? And so I feel like since I like intimate parties, my favorite parties are like 200, 300 people max. Really. Like, if I have to be in a crowd of 10,000 people, I get a bit anxious.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's like, that's like a different business too, I think. Like,
exactly, you know?
That scale.
And so that's why I figured if I'm doing 100 people, 150, I really want to make sure that everyone is a little, diamond of joy. You know, and I really believe that birds of the same feather flock together. So that's also why I wanted to know who told you about it and who have you told about it, because then even though I don't know you, if I trust the person that has invited you, I think I can trust you as well. You know, like I remember my first party, I had these two guys I'd never seen before. They looked a bit weird. And I was like, who are you, you know? And I was a bit protective. And so I was asking a bit more questions. And I was like, so where's your form that you filled in, you know? And they showed me. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm not sure I accepted you. But, I mean, you're here now. And so I went through the form and I said, oh, who told you about this party? Barbara, which is one of my best friends.
Okay.
And she's super open-minded. She's a philosopher, like innovation person. Like she's so open-minded. And I looked at her and I said, look, if Barbara vouched for you, okay, welcome. This is what we do. This is a space of, I remember I told him, like, this is a space of love and benevolence, and where I expect everyone to be responsible for the energy that they bring into the room. And I'm giving you a chance to show up as your best self and to make the best out of it. And it was funny because like the whole time these guys were like a bit tense, a bit like worried, a bit hostile, because like they're taking a taxi, it paid probably 30 euros to be here. Like if I was going to reject them, would have been really annoying, you know? And the moment I said okay, like they really just relaxed, and I saw a different version of them.
Yeah.
And I saw them again later, and we had a good time, you know. And so yeah, it's definitely not exclusive, but protective and trying to set the round tone, you know. Really. So yeah, I did that for a long time as well. Like I said earlier, I really tried to do a bunch of different things and see where it takes me.
Okay. And are there things that you're working on right now? Like, what are you? Obviously, or is there anything you can share also? Like.
Well, I have to say that I am working on quite a few things that are quite awesome. But I can't jinx them just yet. Maybe by the time this episode will be online, I'll be able to let you know, and you can like add it somewhere.
We'll put all the links.
But I'm definitely I work at Fuse and in the artist care team. Okay. I work for different festivals like Paradise City, Listen Festival. I'm gonna go to Amsterdam, work more closely with a friend of mine who does exactly the same things as I do, but over there. So obviously on a different scale as well, because I want to train other stage managers, because I feel like they're starting to get a lack of people who do this the right way. I cannot be everywhere either. And
where can you learn this? Yeah, except for the actual stage, the actual club. Like, where can you?
I think
learn?
it's mainly about how should I put it? I think it's a mindset. I think there's a certain psychology to being a host.
Yeah, but like to start to go to a club and say, hey, I want to do this. Like,
no, that doesn't work.
No, right? Like
I mean, I could.
You just got promoted
really.
into it, you know,
exactly,
like by
yes.
somebody who saw this in you, I guess. But like,
there's
really... no school, there's no trainings or.
But that's typical. The creative industries is quite it's not really gate kept, you know. It's not like it's a hard no, but it will definitely be easier if someone vouch for you. That's for sure. That makes it way easier. And yeah, I'm more than glad to help others get a chance at trying this out. And also guiding them into, you know, like how to strip off of your insecurities, how to approach someone without ego, being open-minded, not make it about you, make it about them. What questions to ask. Like, my 2 first questions are always, how do you feel? And what do you want to drink? Simple, you know? Nice simple. And, you know, like, make easy conversation with someone, like, be interested in them as a person, opposed to as an artist, you know?
Don't ask selfies.
Don't ask selfies. Stuff like that. And also, you know, little things like introduce yourself. If you see someone is having a hard time, I don't know, like your sound engineer is just in a bad mood because he just had to fix this other thing, just bring this guy a beer, you know, and be just spread the love, stuff like that, you know. It's very, it sounds wishy-washy, hippie, lovey-dovey like, but it really makes a difference. So yeah, so I do that. I also, so since I've been studying, but I also work in events, I happen to have taken a lot of time on my master's. Since exams are always at peak time of festival season. So I've taken a lot of time. And so I'm rounding up my thesis, which is on which is actually on a content aggregation platform about that is about anything creative, whether that be music or food or any sort of art.
That's in your marketing studies.
Yeah, that's in my marketing studies. So I'm writing that up, and hopefully, while I'm in Amsterdam, I will also meet the right people for that. That'll be nice. This is more of a long-term project. Like, I wouldn't say this is gonna come out like tomorrow, but it's definitely something I want to do in the long run. Hopefully, something I will be doing once I'll be too old for events. And I'm working on my father's memoirs because I never knew him.
Okay.
So I've been having conversations with my uncles and old friends of his and other journalists who actually knew him.
And he was a journalist?
No, he was actually pretty prominent figure in business and politics in Ivory Coast.
Okay.
And he had to go back there when I was 4, and I grew up without him. And now I feel ready to dive deeper into his story because somehow his story is also mine. And yeah, I feel like that's the book I'm gonna write that I always wanted to write.
Wow.
Yeah. And
wow, that's super interesting. So then you're talking to people in Ivory Coast now?
Yes, exactly.
Oh wow.
Exactly. And it took me a long time to be ready to do it, but now I am. And yeah, I would love to get a little writing residency at some time to round it up. And yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's like.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Such a project.
I had putting writing a little bit on the side because I was always writing about events and music, and as much as I love it, I wanted to go deeper, which through the media outlets I was writing for wasn't really possible. And yeah, these are all the different things I'm working on. Really living the creative life.
Yeah. No, it's really nice. It's a very big variation, and definitely like the whole book. Like,
yeah, I'm getting there.
Wow. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And also, you have time. Like there's no.
No rush.
No. There's no deadline.
I mean, no one is waiting for it.
No. Exactly.
That's the nice part. I'm really using every single experience I've had or I'm having as input for the things I want to do. So yeah.
Okay. And do you have any links with Ivory Coast, like outside of the, like for the book now that you're having? Do you have family there then that or are you now starting, or you're starting to know them now, or did you already? I mean,
I knew them because I've been 5 years ago.
Okay.
But I was never really close to them. Oh. But the nice part about an African family is that it doesn't matter how many years you haven't spoken to them. Mm. Like, you can call them tomorrow and it will be as if you had been calling them every day.
That's nice.
So that's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I want to read that book.
Yeah, it's a
But you have time, yeah. I still have a bunch of other books to read. I'm a very bad reader. I can't finish a book.
But it's not always easy, to be on like a lot of different things at the same time, because obviously you can either do one thing and give it 100%, or you can do 5 things and all give them 20%.
Could you do just one thing? I couldn't either, Like,
it's
I'm a bit the same way, and like I do so many things at the same time, and then sometimes I don't finish projects, or I haven't finished projects that I started like years ago, like. But then I also think, like, just like a little step at a time, and then when it's ready, and like.
Exactly, and I mean, like, it's okay for things to take time. Like my parties, like I had been thinking about them for 2 years before I did that. This thing I'm doing for my thesis, I've been thinking about it for 10 years. This book also for over 5 years I've been thinking about this. Like, it's really about how should I put it, following your path, and when it's right, and then you just go for it. And it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter if you're getting your degree at 30. It doesn't matter if you write your first book at 50. None of it really matters, in the sense that you have your own timeline and you don't have to abide to anyone else's timeline. And just do you, really.
I like that. Yeah, that's it for my questions, I think. My last question is, what's your message to the listener? Do you have anything we don't talk about enough, or something you want to say? I don't know. It's a bit cheesy, I know.
I would say dare to believe in something greater than yourself. And if something greater than yourself offers you a chance to participate, go for it. And try to stick to the love as much as possible. There, you will always have fears. Cast them aside or deal with them. Whatever you do, just don't let them take over. And love what you do and love the people around you. Love yourself. That's the hardest one for me. And yeah, believe in it. Just go for it, and don't self-sabotage yourself. Just do your best. Do your best, and if someone is doing something good, tell them. And if you have something nice to say about someone else, say it to them or to someone else. And we can all contribute to this virtue of positivity.
Yeah, like the expression of and compliments and stuff.
Yeah,
like
just spread it out.
You should do it more.
Spread out the love.
Mm-hmm.
Spread out the love and remember that. I mean, life is serious, but doesn't have to only be serious.
No.
And I think it's worth it to. It's worth trying. It's worth trying, and even if you fail, then you will have learned something, and learning is growing.
And the race is long.
The race is long. And wear sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen. And it's also not actually a race, right? Like, but
it's a marathon.
Marathon. Right. Like it's the long run that counts. You know, like.
And every decision can be corrected by another decision. Really.
Mm.
And there's no such thing as perfection. And go for real. And people love real. Just dare to be real.
You're just like shooting.
I'll just keep going. I can keep going. I can go another hour, darling. I can go another hour. Turn your pain into prosperity. You know, it's not about what happens to you. It's about what you're going to do about it.
There's a big truth in all of this. And where do you see yourself in, maybe that's like another cheesy question a little bit, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years.
20 years? The alley from right now.
20 years, I see myself not working. I see myself writing for fun. Mm-hmm. Writing maybe the kind of stuff I just like spit out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that we'll have launched a company.
Maybe that platform
that will have helped people find inspiration and courage and joy. Inspiring people to go for their dreams and dare to, how should I put it? Maybe not dare, but try to integrate as much creativity in their lives as much as possible. See the value in culture and humanities. And maybe have one of my books turned into a movie. That would be nice. That'd be nice.
Would you direct it?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll probably be too old to play in it, but direct it, yes, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, would you want to act? Like, would you be an actor?
I would love to act.
Yeah?
Definitely. Yes.
Okay.
More of an action or in a comedy thing than anything else, really.
Yeah.
I don't really see myself like do something like a thriller, or maybe I would. What am I saying?
No, but just the fact that you want to be an actor,
that'd be nice.
Or that you would like consider it as like, I don't think that like not everybody wants to do that, right? Like we're all like admiring famous actors, but not everybody. Like I don't necessarily want to be an actor. I think. You know, like,
I mean, I would love to.
Like I've thought about it.
Play in a movie, but without necessarily being famous. That's the thing, though. Like I want to do things that are creative, but that unfortunately make you famous without me actually really want to be famous. I don't mind being a little known, but famous
comes with a price.
Like don't like if I'm like in the supermarket, in my sweatshirt, my hair not done, my makeup not done, I don't want to feel worried about someone like trying to take a picture of me, you know? Like just let me be a human as well, you know? And have a beautiful group of friends, maybe a family, have huge dinners at home, spend half of my day cooking. Playing a lot of good music. That'd be nice. Maybe have a house for artists, you know, where people can come practice creativity, or artists can come stay over for the weekend while they have a gig or something. I still want to do lots of stuff. Yeah. Will all of it still fit into the 50, 60 years left? We'll see.
Yeah, in the end you have a big catalog of things that you want to do, and then you have your vision, which is kind of holds all of those together, and then you can see what people need.
Yeah.
Or what's like where the need is, and then
yeah,
I believe in you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I yeah, I have nothing to add to this. Thank you very much for believing in me.
But thank you so much for coming and coming over, talking, sharing your story.
Yes, it was the first time I did this, and it was nice. Thank you very much for this experience.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I really like doing it. I want to say also, like, the reason I started this is because I just really feel like I know so many interesting people like you, like with their own story, but like you never get to sit down and then say like, all right, like now explain, like please tell me from somewhat the beginning, like how did this, and it's really interesting to like also to hear how you grew up and stuff, like a little bit, you know, like it's it helps fill in some details sometimes and like explain why you are a wonderful person, I think, and like so ambitious, you know, because Luxembourg,
context.
It's not Brussels, Luxembourg, Provence,
Luxembourg.
Which I remember from like doing some real estate photography there. Sometimes I think it's like very much focused on Luxembourg, which is pretty close, right? Like, and that's like its own country, basically. Right?
Yes,
like,
exactly. So. I was not on the right side of the border.
Yeah. Beautiful nature, though, right?
Yeah, beautiful, amazing, great, love it.
But you didn't turn out to be a landscape painter or photographer.
I ran away as fast as I could, darling. But yeah, more than another time, maybe.
Yeah, totally. All right, thank you very much. Clap.